Hey everybody, it's Teresa. Welcome to my channel. I'm going to make a necklace today, and I'm going to use some of the contents from the Sam's bead box from May called Waltz of the Flowers that my sweet friend Kara gifted to me. And I'm also using some stuff that I got from Bead Box Bargains. In here, I've got the Candy Jade Faceted Cube beads. They're 7.5 millimeter. And I picked out the blue and teal colored ones from the Sam's bead box. And here are the check glass daisy beads from the Sam's bead box. It was called a teal dance mix, and they're 8.5 millimeter. And here is the Candy Jade Pear Brio from the Sam's bead box. This is the blue one. It's 16 by 26 millimeter. And I've got a little pinch bell in there because, like I said in a video before, pinch bells make life so much easier. Especially when you're like me and you're not good at wire wrapping these briolettes. And here I've got some 4 millimeter bicones that came from Bead Box Bargains. And in here I've got some 6 by 8 millimeter rondelles that I got from Bead Box Bargains. They're called Cornflower Blue / Silver. I don't know that they still have these. I've had these for quite a long time. And here I've got some spacer beads that I got from Bead Box Bargains. And here I've got some findings. I've got a lobster clasp, ball head pin, an extender chain, and one of the little bicones I'm going to dangle off the extender chain. A couple of pieces of chain, some jump rings, 2 wire guardians, and 2 2x2 crimp tubes. I've got my soft flex beading wire in fine, but you can use whatever beading wire you have. I've got my bead stoppers. I've got my tweezer pliers, my round nose pliers, and my chain nose pliers. I've got both pairs of my bent chain nose pliers. Got both pairs of my crimping pliers. I use the Zuron ones for crimping, and I use these Beadalon ones, the little circular part at the end there, half circles on each side to tuck in the burrs that are left when I cut off wire. And I've got both pairs of my cutters. I use one to cut bead stringing wire, and I use the other to cut head pins and eye pins and craft wire. A lot of these tools I'll only be using when I make the dangle to go on the extender chain. And I got my little New Orleans shot glass to put my wire in after I cut it off. I think that's everything, so hold on, I'll get some of my beads poured out and I'll be back. Okay, I've got some of my beads poured out, but first I'm going to put my pinch bell on my pendant here. So I'm just going to take my pliers, and you could probably do this with your hands. I don't know. These are not really that hard to open, but I usually have to have a little help, so I'm just going to pry it apart there. Put my little briolet in there and line up my little things there with the hole. And I'm going to try to pinch it closed a little bit, and then I'll use my pliers for the rest of it, I think. Just get it closed up good. Be careful and not crack my little briolet, because that would be bad. Okay, so there we go. That's so much easier than wire wrapping, especially when you're not good at wire wrapping, and I am not good at wire wrapping. So hold on, and I'll get my wire here, and I'll start to string this up. Okay, I'm going to string this now, so I'm going to start out with 3 of my bicones. Spacer bead. One of my teal cube beads. Spacer bead. 3 of my rondelle beads. Spacer bead. One of my daisies. spacer bead, 3 of my rondelles, spacer bead, daisy, spacer bead, a teal cube bead, and a blue cube bead, and a teal cube bead, spacer bead, daisy, spacer bead, blue cube bead, teal cube bead, and blue cube bead, spacer bead, and I'm going to do 3 bicones, and my pendant, and 3 more bicones. And when I tighten this up to crimp it, that those bicones are going to meet inside that bail there like that. It's going to hang out on top of those 2 bicones in the very center there. And now I'm going to do a spacer bead. And a blue cube bead. And a teal cube bead. And a blue cube bead. And a spacer bead. And a daisy. And a spacer. And a teal cube bead, and a blue cube bead, and a teal cube bead, and a spacer, and a daisy, and a spacer. I have to give myself a little more room down here. I'm running out of wire. Okay, now I'm going to do 3 rondelle beads. Spacer bead, daisy, spacer bead, 3 rondelles, spacer, teal cube bead, spacer, and 3 bicones. Okay, so that's what I got now. So now I'm going to get my crimp beads and my wire guardians, and I'll crimp it, so hold on. Okay, now I'm going to crimp. Take my crimp tube, my wire guardian, Go back down the other channel of my wire guardian. Go back down the other channel of my wire guardian. Back through my crimp tube. I keep my wires from getting crossed. Hold them apart there. Now I'm going to go into the crimping pliers, that part that has that little tooth there. I'll lay my little tooth on top of my crimp tube. Squeeze. That puts each wire in its own little channel there. Now there's 3 half circles here. I'm going to go on the one in the middle. That's the one for the 2x2 crimp tubes. I'm going to lay my crimp in there. Squeeze. And I'm going to go down to the next one. That's for the 1mm crimp tubes and squeeze again. Just tighten it up. I'm going to tug. That's good. So now I'm going to cut my wire off. Extra wire off. Now I'm going to push all this down and cut my wire off my spool. And I'm going to put my other crimp tube on and my wire guardian. Go down the other channel of my wire guardian. And go back through my crimp tube. I like to go through a bead or 2 on this side to get my hands out of the way. I'm going to make sure my wires are not crossed. I'm going to hold on to my wire guardian and pull my wire through. I'm going to tuck in this little wire guardian. It's farther apart than that other one was. I must have tried to use that other one on another project or something, because it was already tucked in a little bit. I want to make sure there's no slack in my piece, but I don't want it to be too tight. I want to make sure my little pendants hanging over top of these bicones here, which it does not seem to be. It seems to be all hung up here. What's wrong with it there? I think it's got caught on one of the bicones is the problem. Instead of hanging out over it like I want it to. There we go. Now, I'll take the part with a little tooth again and put my little tooth on top of my crimp tube, and I'm going to squeeze. Now I'm going to turn it and go on that part in the middle. Squeeze. And then go down to the next one. Squeeze. To tighten it up a little. I'm going to tug. Good, so now I'm going to cut off my extra wire. That's what I've got now, so now I'm going to get my findings and put them on. I'll be back. Okay, now I'm going to put my findings on here. I've got a couple of pieces of chain. They're about 3.5 inches each. I've got a 6mm jump ring. Open up my jump ring. Put one side of my necklace on. And one of my pieces of chain. Close my jump ring. Back. Make sure it gets closed really well. Now take another 6mm jump ring. Do the same thing on this other side. Close my jump ring up really well. Now I'm going to take another 6mm jump ring. Drop it. Put it on this end of my chain. Trying to get stuck to my pliers. Put on my lobster clasp. And drop it. Try this again. Close my jump ring back. Now this is I think this is a 7mm jump ring. It might be an 8. Looks more like an 8. I'm going to put it on this end of my chain. And put my extender chain on. Sure that gets closed up really well. That's what I've got now. So now I'm going to make a little dangle to go on my extender chain. So I got a ball head pin and one of my little rondelle bicones. I'm going to take my pliers, go to the tip of the pliers, bend the wire of the pin over at a 90-degree angle. Around those pliers in the crook of the bend, around those pliers facing me. Bend the wire back until it hits the bead. Rotate the pliers till they're facing the table. Hold on tight and take this part up and under here until it hits the bottom of the tool. Cock the wire back until the loop is centered over the bead. I'm bent chain those pliers and pull this down here until it's kind of at a right angle there. Get my other pair, bent chain those pliers and start to wrap. Get the first wrap good and tight. And wrap till there's no more room to wrap. I'm going to take my cutters, cut off the extra wire. And take these crimping pliers and use that little part at the end that has the half circle on each side. And tuck in my little bird that's left where I cut off my wire. Just being careful to do it gently because that little bicone can easily break. Now I'm going to take the last link on my chain here. Open it up. thread on my little dangle. Close it back up. There's my little dangle. So hold on, I'll get some of my tools put up and everything, and I'll be back. Okay, there's my necklace made with some of the contents of the May 2023 Sam's Bead box that was gifted to me by my sweet friend Kara, and some of the rondelles and bicones that I've gotten from Bead Box Bargains. I hope you all have enjoyed this video. As always, thank you so much for joining me today. I really appreciate those of you who have subscribed to my channel and watched my videos and liked and commented on my videos. I have a website where I sell my jewelry. It's Teresa's Handmade Jewelry, and I'll put a link to it in the description box below in case you're interested, along with a link to my Facebook, Instagram, Pinterest, and my email. If you haven't, I'd really love it if you'd subscribe and hit the notification bell so you're notified when I upload a new video. So until next time, hope y'all have a great day. Take care.